to share with you something that happened to me a bunch of years ago that taught me a lot about language when you were in front of an audience. And as you know, I've spoken to 3,000 groups, 3.5 million-ish participants, plus all the media, TV, radio, podcasts that I've done as well. And I've learned a lot about language and how important language is. And I learned a really important lesson early on. I was talking about something and I said, well, the rule of thumb is this, you should do this and this and this. And the rest of the program went fine, but I saw this guy, and it wasn't a very large group, and I saw this guy about fourth row back, and he kind of cringed when I said rule of thumb. And I think I said it twice, maybe three times even. And then he came up to me afterwards and he said, I've stopped saying the phrase rule of thumb. And I thought I would tell you why. And I said, yeah, I noticed you kind of reacted to that phrase. And he said, well, I found out that phrase is from the Middle Ages, and that what it was that you were allowed to beat your wife as long as the stick you beat her with was not larger than your thumb. I have not used that phrase except for example here since. So, sometimes it is helpful to look at the language that you're using. I got called out one time for saying, running over something or running over somebody with my words. Sometimes people find some of the phrases sort of, they can find them somewhat violent or they can find them upsetting. And it's not that we don't want to say what we want to say. It's just that sometimes there's a better way to say it. And if you don't look at the roots of the words or the roots of a saying, you may be saying something you don't really mean, like I was. So I actually really appreciated the comment, and it made me take a closer look at the language that I use and using things that are in the positive, using things that are going to be uplifting and helpful to people. Nobody wants a negative speaker. I mean, it's supposed to be motivating people. So, part of it is looking at, what is your intention with that audience and what is the language that you're using. So definitely don't use that phrase, and look at the language that you're using within your speech and how that's landing. You can't make everybody happy. However, you can make yourself happy and you can do the best job you're capable of doing, because again, those little 1% improvements within your speech, they add up. They add up to a point where it feels so effortless to speak to a group, where it used to be a lot of effort for me years ago, and you feel like you're doing your best job with that audience every single time, and that they're getting the best you have in you. Not, wow, it was a really good speech, but even wow, it's the best speech I've ever seen. It's what is the best speech you're capable of giving, and that's what they deserve. They deserve the best you have within you. And that sometimes means looking at the language of everything you have in there. And not that I'm saying that you want to memorize your whole speech. That's usually a terrible idea for most speakers. But you do want to maybe look at, what are the phrases that you commonly use, and are they trite? Are they overused? Do they mean something you don't want them to mean? And are all of the phrases that you're using leading those people to feeling what you want them to feel and changing the way you want them to change and becoming more successful by the time you are done with that speech? That's your job. So double your business, double your impact, change the world, do more speaking, and do it to the very, very best of your ability, as we all should. Thank you.